Welcome to a journey through Hollywood's toughest legends. These actors didn't just portray grit and toughness, they lived it. Their on-screen intensity was pulled from raw, real experiences, real fights, real scars, brushes with the law, and battles against death itself. Life hardened them long before the cameras rolled, making their performances resonate with authentic power. Today, we're counting down the 10 toughest actors in Hollywood history. Not merely the most famous, but those whose real lives mirrored the grit of their character. Before we dive in, think about this. Which classic Hollywood actor would you least want to face in a real fight? By the video's end, your answer might just change. Some carried medals, others had mugshots, but each one had a stare forged by truth. Let's begin with a man whose very existence was a testament to survival. Number 10. Robert Mitchum. Imagine a teenager hopping freight trains during the Great Depression, fighting on the streets under fake names just for food. This was Robert Mitchum. His signature sleepy-eyed glare? That wasn't an act. The scars and broken nose etched on his rugged face were trophies of real-life battles, not Hollywood makeup. Before becoming a star, Mitchum was a drifter crossing America's backroads, taking any grueling job to survive, from ditch digging to coal mining. His time in prison lingered over his fame, especially after a marijuana arrest in 1948, which should have ended his career. Instead, he served 60 days quietly and walked out even more popular, refusing to apologize or explain. He simply returned to work. Mitchum didn't pretend toughness. He embodied it, and his co-stars could sense that unsettling calm, a man who had been in real fights and didn't feel the need to boast. Director Edward Dmytryk once said, "You didn't direct Mitchum. You just kept the camera rolling and hoped he didn't knock someone out." The intensity he brought was silent, but undeniable. Number 9. Charles Bronson. Born into a mining family in Pennsylvania, as one of 15 kids, Charles Bronson was a hard-working coal miner by age 10. He earned a Purple Heart as a B-29 tail gunner flying deadly bombing missions over Japan during W2. His trademark silence wasn't just a character choice, it was a warning. Bronson's journey, from crushing poverty to Hollywood toughness, was powered by relentless determination and a lifetime of hardship. Raised in the heart of America's mining country, he developed a steel resolve that translated perfectly into his legendary stoic roles. His silence spoke volumes, portraying a man shaped by unyielding experiences and solid grit. Stay tuned as we continue unveiling the stories of the toughest men in Hollywood, whose real lives gave their on-screen personas unmatched depth and authenticity. Charles Bronson began his working life far beneath the surface, breaking his back deep underground before most kids had left elementary school. Covered in coal dust, that harsh environment didn't just shape his physique, it carved out the very essence of who he was. His childhood wasn't just challenging, it was relentlessly cruel. When World War II broke out, Bronson traded one dangerous arena for another, serving as a tail gunner on B-29 bombing missions over Japan. Wounded in combat and awarded a Purple Heart, he returned home to take any job that could put food on the table. Short-order cook, onion picker, part-time boxer. By the time Hollywood found him, fame was the last thing on Bronson's mind. He wanted only a paycheck. But directors soon recognized that Bronson wasn't an actor playing a tough guy. He was the real deal. His punches weren't crafted for show. They packed the precision and power of someone who knew exactly how to end a fight swiftly. John Michael Vincent, his co-star in The Mechanic, recalled, "He just grabbed my shirt in a scene, and I couldn't believe the strength. He wasn't pretending." When the Mafia allegedly sent death threats after the release of Death Wish, the studio offered bodyguards. Bronson, unfazed, simply laughed. "I've lived too long. I've seen too much to be scared of that." What set Bronson apart was his absolute no-nonsense efficiency. He arrived on set, hit his marks perfectly, delivered lines like forged steel and left without fuss or ego, just raw presence, molded by a life devoted to survival. There was no acting, no costume. He was the role. In his own words, and I believe this, if tomorrow all of us, every single one of us, gets out of bed and says, "This is my country, and I'm going to do good for it." Now let's turn to another emblem of toughness, John Wayne. John Wayne's career was marked by real, relentless pain endured behind the scenes. Broken ribs on set, a lung removed, stomach cancer brought on by radiation exposure. These were not the trappings of a Hollywood myth, but the real hardships he faced. Before donning his iconic cowboy hat and adopting that unmistakable drawl, Wayne was a product of early 20th century rural America, relying on sheer grit and physical strength to make his way. When he worked through college and earned a football scholarship to USC not through privilege, but through relentless determination. His early days in Hollywood were far from glamorous. He hauled heavy props, built sets, and tackled the grueling labor no one else wanted. His tolerance for pain became legendary. During the filming of The Alamo, Wayne cracked several ribs attempting a horse stunt. Instead of calling it quits, he wrapped his torso, took painkillers, and kept the cameras rolling. No complaints, only iron-willed resolve. Perhaps the most defining moment of his resilience came in 1964, when doctors removed a lung and 4 ribs after a cancer diagnosis. For most, that would spell the end of their career, not for Wayne. Mere months later, he was back performing stunts in The Sons of Katie Elder, as if nothing had happened. Tragically, his greatest test was off-screen during the making of The Conqueror. The film was shot downwind from a nuclear test site in Utah, exposing cast and crew to dangerous radiation. Of the 220 people involved, nearly half eventually developed cancer, including Wayne himself. His death from stomach cancer is widely linked to this exposure. Yet, through all the pain and adversity, he never stopped working and never once complained. Wayne's determination was unshakable. Even after surgery slowed others down, when director Henry Hathaway suggested a stunt double, Wayne locked eyes and declared firmly, "Either I do my own stunts or you find someone else." This wasn't scripted bravado. It was the man himself. His grit earned admiration even from his fiercest political rivals. Kirk Douglas, often at odds with Wayne, acknowledged, "You can disagree with his views all you want, but never question his toughness. I've seen him push through things that would have sent most men to the hospital." Cut to movie clip. "Hello, Mac. This is Rocky. Surprise. Surprise. No, I ain't down no more. One of your own boys. Say, look, Fraser is here." Coming in at number 7 is James Cagney, a powerhouse from Manhattan's Lower East Side who stood just 5'5", yet commanded every room with explosive energy. Raised in one of New York's toughest neighborhoods, survival was a daily fight. He didn't box for sport, he boxed to defend himself against bigger kids. Those early street battles sculpted his reflexes in a way no drama school ever could. What made Cagney mesmerizing on screen wasn't just acting. It was the authentic movement born from real-life fights. His punches weren't drawn-out theatrics. They were sharp, lightning-fast, and perfectly aimed, revealing a man who'd genuinely thrown his weight in countless bouts. Director Raoul Walsh confirmed, "Jimmy knew how to throw a punch better than any actor I ever worked with because he'd thrown plenty of real ones in his day." But Cagney's secret edge wasn't just street smarts, it was his background in professional dance. This rare fusion of raw aggression and precise timing gave him unparalleled command in choreographing fight scenes. Off camera, his reputation was fierce yet nuanced. Bob Hope once joked, Cagney was the kind of guy who'd knock you down, then help you up and buy you a drink. His legacy illustrates that real toughness isn't about stature or volume. It's about coiled power and unwavering confidence. Award ceremony clip. New view, sons. I want to say that I was only competing with myself, and I thank you very much for letting me win that fight over myself. Number 6 on our list is Anthony Quinn, born amid the upheaval of the Mexican Revolution and molded by hardship, not mere gym workouts. At 46, he carried 2 logs at once, a testament to his formidable strength. But Quinn wasn't just playing tough guys, he lived it. His earliest memories were not of childhood games, but of dodging gunfire and witnessing soldiers storming through his neighborhood. After fleeing to America with his family, he grew up in the harsh environment of East Los Angeles, where survival was precarious and softness was a liability. By the age of 9, Quinn was already working labor-intensive jobs like butcher's assistant, building a foundation of resilience that shaped the man he became. When cash ran too low, Anthony Quinn didn't flinch. He stepped into professional boxing rings, trading scripted fights for real, punishing bouts. No double, no rehearsals, just raw grit and genuine swings. That iconic broken nose earned the authentic, hard-fought way. On set, his brutal strength became the stuff of legends. During Zorba the Greek, Quinn hauled heavy logs single-handedly, tasks usually needing 2 men, simply because the work demanded it. In The Guns of Navarone, at age 46, he didn't just act out cliff-climbing stunts, he performed them himself, brushing off insurance worries with a confident weight. But what truly set Quinn apart was his rare blend of power and emotional depth. He didn't mask himself behind tough guy facades. On screen, he could break down in tears, show raw vulnerability, yet still convince you, without a doubt, that he could obliterate an enemy if needed. Toughness for Anthony Quinn wasn't an act. It was who he was. Clip of Anthony Quinn, I swear by. Number 5. Kirk Douglas. Kirk Douglas' life reads like an epic saga of grit. From wrestling champion on scholarship to war veteran, surviving a helicopter crash at 72, to beating a stroke that ended him, Douglas seized every challenge with teeth grit. Born to immigrant parents struggling on the edge of poverty, his childhood held no guarantees. Even food was scarce. He hustled from boyhood, taking on odd jobs to keep the lights on. That hardship didn't defeat him. It forged unbreakable steel. He wrestled his way into college through punishing, competitive collegiate wrestling, the kind where raw strength and enduring pain make the difference between winning and losing. When World War II came, Douglas enlisted in the Navy, serving aboard submarine chasers, tiny, vulnerable vessels constantly dodging torpedoes and enemy fire. Wounded and medically discharged in 1944, he never leaned on his injuries as excuses. On screen, Douglas didn't just perform action scenes. He attacked them with authentic physicality grounded in lived experience. For Spartacus, he trained with fighters, refused stunt doubles, and welcomed real strikes to bring combat to life. After a gruesome fall on set left him seriously hurt, he was back filming within 2 days. But the ultimate proof of Douglas's toughness came decades later. In his 70s, he survived a helicopter crash that claimed 2 lives. Where most would have given in, Douglas rebounded, relearning how to walk again. Then, after a stroke robbed him of speech, he engaged in grueling therapy to reclaim his voice and penned a memoir chronicling his hard-won recovery. His life embodied relentless resilience, not mere youthful vigor. As director Stanley Kubrick aptly put it, when Kirk decided something was going to happen, it happened. This wasn't Hollywood illusion. It was pure, lived reality. Clip of Kirk Douglas. Thank you. Thank you. Let me make this brief. There are so many people I owe thanks to throughout my career, and it feels impossible to name them all properly. Number 4. Lee Marvin, a Marine Corps combat veteran, a Purple Heart recipient, and a man who endured machine gun fire tearing through his back. Marvin's quiet, intense presence was no act. It was shaped by harsh reality. Before Hollywood ever noticed him, He'd already faced the most brutal sides of humanity. As a Marine fighting in the Pacific during World War II, he survived some of the war's fiercest island battles. During the Battle of Saipan, Marvin took a bullet that severed his sciatic nerve, leaving him with a permanent limp, a detail he cleverly masked on screen for decades. While many actors studied how to portray killers, Marvin had actually lived through combat, witnessed death, and understood the irreversible consequences firsthand. Directors often commented on his distinct movements, precise and minimal, reflecting a man who knew that real violence is anything but theatrical. It's efficient, ugly, and final. This raw authenticity made his performances deeply unsettling. Whether playing hitmen, soldiers, or criminals, there was an undeniable edge in his eyes. He wasn't playing dangerous. He was dangerous. Tales of his toughness extended beyond the screen. On set in Oregon, he famously held his own in a bar fight against multiple lumberjacks. Despite arriving on set bruised the next morning, he refused to delay filming. Co-stars often admitted being intimidated, not because he was aggressive, but because his calm, still presence radiated an unspoken power. Lee Marvin's toughness wasn't a gimmick. It was battlefield-earned authenticity infused into every role. Clip of Lee Marvin singing softly, "Oh, my love is my light, shines so bright." Number 3. Steve McQueen, a Marine Corps hero who once rescued 5 men from a sinking tank, a professional race car driver, and one of the few actors to perform nearly all his own stunts. Steve McQueen wasn't just Hollywood's king of cool. He was genuinely fearless in ways that unnerved studios and insurance companies alike. His childhood was marked by hardship. Abandoned by both parents and raised in reform schools, McQueen was a master of survival. He ran away at 14, drifting through a troubling youth before joining the Marines, where his rebellious spirit flourished. Demoted 7 times and confined for 41 days, not due to weakness, but defiance of authority, McQueen was a man who stood his ground. Yet, when lives were in danger, his true character shone through. During Arctic training without hesitation, he saved 5 fellow Marines from drowning in a sinking tank, risking everything to pull them to safety. This juxtaposition, a wild spirit paired with unwavering courage under pressure, defined him. In Hollywood, McQueen refused to leave danger behind. He sought it out, performing his own stunts despite studio protests. In the film, The Great Escape, the only stunt he didn't do was the fence jump, and that was only because the production prohibited it. His dedication to authenticity and adrenaline fueled his legendary status, making him an icon of fearless realism on screen. Let's dive into the incredible dedication and toughness of some of Hollywood's greatest icons, starting with Steve McQueen. Steve wasn't just an actor, he was a man driven by passion and an unyielding spirit. During the filming of The Sand Pebbles, he faced the terrifying risk of drowning in challenging river scenes. For the towering Inferno, he insisted on performing his own fire stunts, scenes so perilous that even professional stuntmen hesitated. Steve's off-screen activities weren't for show. They were genuine obsessions. A true adrenaline junkie, he raced motorcycles and cars professionally, often using fake names to keep studios from grounding him. At the grueling 1970 Sebring race, he defied injury by finishing second overall, even while wearing a plaster cast on his foot. When Steve discovered his name was on Charles Manson's kill list, instead of hiring bodyguards, he took matters into his own hands, carrying a loaded Magnum everywhere. His longtime stunt double captured the essence perfectly. Steve didn't act like a racer or a fighter. He was better than most professionals I knew. Cut to a clip of Steve McQueen. Of course, you have to remember an absolutely key element in that film is Jack Amat, who taught me to drive. Next up, number 2, Charlton Heston Dodge. A World War II veteran, Charlton was the embodiment of endurance and strength on screen. Prior to his iconic roles like Moses and Ben-Hur, he served as a radio operator and aerial gunner in the Army Air Forces during the war. While not stationed on the front lines, his military experience instilled in him unparalleled discipline and resilience, traits that heavily influenced his acting career. What truly set Heston apart was his unwavering refusal to seek any special treatment on set. He was known for performing physically grueling scenes that would exhaust or injure most actors. For instance, in the Ten Commandments, he hoisted real stone tablets during take after take, an ordeal punishing on his shoulders and back, yet he never once complained or asked for lighter props. On The Greatest Story Ever Told, even after tearing shoulder ligaments during a stunt, Charlton had his injury wrapped during lunch and was back filming by afternoon. Perhaps the most remarkable testament to his strength was surviving the aftermath of The Conqueror's filming near nuclear testing sites in Utah, where nearly half the cast and crew later developed cancer. Despite undergoing diagnosis, surgery, and losing a lung, Heston pushed on, tackling roles that would tire even younger, healthier actors. His drive wasn't fueled by ego or spectacle. It was a profound sense of duty. Whether portraying prophets or warriors, he embodied true strength and conviction. Cue a clip of Charlton Heston. By the way, I'd like to add that it isn't just my story. It's the story of the 3rd Infantry Division and the men who served in me. Finally, at number 1, we honor Audie Murphy, the most decorated American soldier in history. Recipient of the Medal of Honor and credited with personally killing over 240 enemy soldiers. Audie's toughness wasn't just about battlefield valor. His resilience went beyond scars and intimidation. It was a testament to unwavering courage and determination. The text cuts off here, but would continue to detail Audie Murphy's extraordinary courage and grit. These legends share a common thread: an authenticity and iron that transcended acting, bringing their extraordinary real-life toughness into their roles and inspiring generation. Imagine a man who looks every bit the boy next door, youthful, unassuming, and far from imposing. That was Audie Murphy. Yet beneath that innocent exterior lay one of the most lethal soldiers in American history. Before even setting foot on a movie set, Murphy had endured and triumphed over hell itself, emerging not just alive, but astoundingly decorated. At just 19 years old, Murphy achieved what many deemed impossible. Mounted atop a blazing tank destroyer, he single-handedly held off an entire company of German troops for over an hour. Despite being wounded and out of ammo, he didn't falter. Instead, he rallied a counterattack that repelled the enemy forces. This extraordinary feat earned him the Medal of Honor, the highest military decoration in the United States. And that was only one chapter of his storied combat record. By the time Murphy turned 21, he had amassed 28 decorations, encompassing every American medal for valor available. His battlefield exploits included destroying tanks, fearlessly charging machine gun nests, absorbing wounds that would have felled most men, and pressing on when others would have collapsed. Military historians estimate that Murphy personally accounted for over 240 enemy kills, surpassing some entire combat units. What made Murphy's deadliness even more startling was his appearance. Standing just 5'5" and weighing a mere 112 pounds at enlistment, he looked like a high school student, far from the image of a battle-hardened warrior. When Hollywood discovered him after his Life magazine cover, security guards at the studio couldn't believe this gentle-looking young man could be the legendary Audie Murphy. This stark contrast between his boyish charm and brutal battlefield prowess made him uniquely intimidating. When his own war story was adapted into the film To Hell and Back, Murphy starred as himself. The producers actually had to tone down his achievements, fearing audiences would find his real-life heroics too incredible, too extraordinary, to be believable. Yet beneath his calm, composed exterior, Murphy battled grave internal demons. He suffered from severe PTSD, was plagued by violent flashbacks, and always slept with a loaded pistol under his pillow. His wife recalled, during those episodes, it wasn't Audie anymore. It was someone I didn't recognize. Despite the turmoil raging within, Murphy maintained remarkable control. There was just one notable exception. During a heated argument with an aggressive businessman, Murphy's demeanor changed instantly and frighteningly. The man immediately backed down, later admitting, "In that moment, I realized he could kill me without hesitation." Murphy shunned playing war heroes on screen, preferring romantic comedies and westerns instead. But every time he appeared, audiences felt an undeniable presence, an unspoken gravitas that said, "This man has witnessed horrors you can barely imagine and lived to tell the tale." He didn't need to act tough. He embodied the truest kind of toughness Hollywood ever witnessed. Clip of Audie Murphy. This guy asked me, "Hey, do you want to be in this movie?" And I said, "What do I got to do?" He said, "Do you want to be an extra?" I said, "Extra what?" Honorable mention. Danny Trejo, while this list celebrates the Golden Age stars, one modern warrior demands recognition. Danny Trejo, a former San Quentin prison boxing champion and convicted armed robber. Trejo overcame heroin addiction to become an iconic film figure. Perhaps no contemporary actor rivals the toughness of the legendary stars from Hollywood's classic era, but Trejo's real-life grit certainly commands respect. Danny Trejo's story isn't just about surviving prison, it's about rising from its darkest depths. He spent 11 grueling years behind bars in California's toughest prisons, convicted of armed robbery and drug offense. But Trejo's time inside wasn't spent hiding away or in protective custody. He lived amid the most dangerous inmates, fighting his way to become San Quentin's lightweight and welterweight boxing champion. Every scar etched across his face tells a tale of brutal knife fights and intense prison yard battles that nearly took his life more than once. Yet what sets Trejo apart is not just his fierce toughness, but his remarkable transformation. After achieving sobriety during his incarceration, he has maintained it for over 5 decades, dedicating himself to helping others as a drug counselor. His entrance into Hollywood came unplanned, not chasing fame, but rather supporting a young actor battling addiction on set. Trejo's authenticity shines through. When asked about performing his own stunts, he once dryly remarked, "I'm 75. I don't want to be 76 trying to act like I'm 35. Actors get hurt. Stuntmen don't." This is a man who exudes genuine confidence because he has nothing left to prove. Danny Trejo embodies a rare breed of toughness, one forged in real hardship rather than crafted for the camera. His resilience and authenticity remind us that true grit still walks among us, unfiltered and unvarnished. So, there you have it, the 10 toughest actors in Hollywood history. These aren't just men who pretended strength on screen. They lived it. They brought genuine scars, unshakable courage, and hard-earned resilience into every frame. Their legends endure not through flashy scripts or media hype, but because the camera captured something real, something no training or acting can replicate. Which of these remarkable figures surprised you the most? Would you have ranked them differently? Share your thoughts in the comments. We read every single one. And if you admire today's celebrities, remember what real toughness truly looked like. Subscribe for more untold stories from cinema's golden age.